It's all kicking off. And of course, we start with the storm that's been sparked by England's new football shirt and the controversial change to the St George's flag that I first highlighted on this show on Tuesday. Quick off the mark, that kit was released on Monday night. Now, Nike has sparked a huge storm after replacing the red cloth on a white background. The design, as you can see on your screens now, is purple and blue horizontal stripes in what Nike called a playful update of the shirt ahead of the European Championships this year. Now, in the last hour, the Football Association has stood by the shirt. And earlier, Rishi Sunak waded into the row and criticised the design.
Obviously, I prefer the original, and my general view is that when it comes to our national flags, we shouldn't mess with them because they're a source of pride, identity, who we are, and they're perfect as they are.
Well, from the Prime Minister to the punters in pubs, everybody's got a take on this. And let's now get the views of my fellow GBNews presenter and the eminent historian, Neil Oliver. Neil Oliver, last time I checked, you weren't a proud Englishman, but you do, however, fundamentally grasp the sacred sanctity of flags. Tell us why you think people have reacted so vociferously to this desecration.
Hi, Martin. Yeah, symbols matter. Flags matter. Most people are encouraged from childhood to invest something in that symbol of national identity. And it does, the English, that flag, it means something. You know, it's the Cross of St George. It has a history. It has a story behind it. And people care deeply about it. I would say, more than anything else, it's hard to imagine Nike or anyone else playing or being playful with anybody else's flag. There does seem to be something about the English flag and the George Cross, which seems to make it a target. It's hard to imagine anybody doing similar with the Stars and Stripes, or look at how passionate people were about the Ukrainian flag and still are. And I think that it's encouraging more than anything else, or it's trying to nudge people into somehow accepting that their identity doesn't matter, that everything's fluid. That you can change anything, that you can take anything away, and if you have any kind of issue with that, you're some kind of, well, at the very least, you're stick in the mud. And in this context, heaven only knows they'll portray it as somehow being far right, to have a passionate connection to standing up for the identity that is symbolised by that flag.
I think that's bang on, Neil, because everybody is Irish on St Patrick's Day. Every other form of British nationalism is celebrated, but there's something singularly, I don't know, unpleasant or unsavoury about English nationalism. And I think, Neil, we can both agree it's become shorthand for racism. Yeah,
and I don't get it. You rightly point out, I'm born and raised as a Scot in Scotland, but I celebrate the English identity. I absolutely empathise with why a proud Englishman or Englishwoman would say that they were proud to be an Englishman or Englishwoman, in the same way that I would feel that about someone who was proud of their Irish heritage, their Welsh heritage, their Scottish heritage. You know, it's not something slight. It's something that in which people invest a great deal. If I was to sort of playfully change the spelling of your name, or to change your name, to insist that I might just as well call you Mike Dobney, you would say, but Martin is who I am, and it's how people recognise me and they can identify that I am Martin Dobney. But I say again, there is something very strange about the way Englishness, and in this instance the English flag, is specifically targeted. I don't think Nike or anyone else would have the temerity to be playful about other people's national identity in the way that they think, oh, well, we can do this, because if anyone gets up on their hind legs to protest, we'll just be able to characterise them as being in some way nationalistic, in a negative sense, right-wing extremist. Something about England and Englishness, and I'm as happy to support Englishness as any of the other nationalities in this archipelago.
Superb. So thank you, Neil Oliver. Always a pleasure to speak to you. And of course, tune into Neil Oliver's show, both on GB News and online this weekend. Top man.